So, and this week we are on Parsha Teitzei, a Parsha which essentially has the most commandments. The most commandments. It's not known to be that famous of a Parsha, but it is. Teitzei on page 1046. On page 1046, I'm just going to close my phone.
This is our son Gabriel's Parsha.
Uh-huh. So the Parsha Teitzei, like I said, has many commandments, which obviously if we want to see it and elaborate on all of them, it's going to be more than an hour. And we don't want Arnold to have to leave us. So we are going to concentrate on one subject of this Parsha, which is also discussed in numerous commandments. And the concept that we are discussing is actually marriage and divorce. Because this Parsha is the Parsha which shares more laws about marriage and anything goes than any other Parsha in the Torah. And being divorced, the idea, the action of getting divorced is also in this week's Parsha. And obviously, this itself has also many laws and many details. And if you want, our friend Arnold can give you an encyclopedia of jokes, which has to do about marriage, right? And wedding, maybe because for some people the whole thing is a big joke. But me going to spend some time trying to learn, and maybe we can walk out with some tips about marriage. Especially our dear friend Rabbi, his wife Hannah is coming home tomorrow after a long time away, and probably wants to get a tip. And if you're not married, like Jerry says, too late. It's never too late, because I'm sure you have friends or children's friends who are married, and you can help them by learning tonight. Hopefully you can walk away with something and you can guide them in their relationship. And in general, we should know that marriage is not only between men and women. It's between the Jewish people and God is also a marriage. And being in exile is called a divorce. And we can learn a lot in our relationship, in our personal marriages, to our relationship with God, and vice versa. So let's get into a topic. But before we start, I want to tell you and read for you a small quote from a letter of the Rebbe. There is obviously a lot of letters that the Rebbe writes to people, encouraging them to improve and to keep and to preserve their shalom bayit, which means peace in the house, their marriage, the stability of marriage. But here the Rebbe writes something very significant, very unusual. And the Rebbe begins the letter by saying, and I'm translating from Hebrew. I'm going to read in Hebrew and translate. כבר אמרתי לו כמה וכמה פעמים, והנני לחזור עוד פעם. I already told you a number of times, but I wanted to repeat it to you again. אשר עליו להשתדל בהשתדלות הכי גדולה בעניין השלום בית בינו ובין זוגתו. That you have to do as much effort possible, on the greatest extent, to make sure that peace in the house between you and your spouse. וידוע מאמר הז"ל, אישה דמעתה מצויה, ולכן עליו להיות זה שמוותר, ובפרט במילה דעלמא. The Rebbe quotes from our sages in the Talmud that a wife, a woman in general, has a greater potential to burst out in tears when something is missing. Okay? And therefore, it is you, the Rebbe writes to the husband, you have to be the one who is mevater. Mevater means to give up. To give up for the well-being or for the benefit of your wife. Now, which is interesting, just before coming to class, I was looking for a good word in English of this Hebrew word called vitur, levatel. And I couldn't find a good translation. Because apparently in English, the word levatel, to give up, is always in the connotation of some type of weakness. In Hebrew, this is a quality of righteousness, to give up something which you think differently, but you give it up for the sake of someone else. And if you can find, Mrs. Kamikar, if you find a very good English word for the word vitur.
Couldn't you use sacrifice?
Sacrifice.
That goes too far.
That's a little too far.
But you're giving up
I
your opinion to
understand,
keep
but sacrifice in Hebrew means lakriv. And that's why I'm saying, I'm looking for a good translation of the word levater. You know, levater?
What is the shorish of the word levater?
Vafte vreish. You're giving up something up for somebody else. But you're not giving up because I'm giving up. Huh?
Yesh bitui b'anglit.
Yes.
You don't have to have the last word.
Okay. This is the connotation. This is the bottom line of what vitur is. Actually, today they said you could have the last word. The last word should just be either yes ma'am or yes sir. Amen.
Yes, dear. Yes, dear.
Yes, dear. So the Rebbe says that so it is known that this has to be your job. You have to be the one to give up. They say, by the way, a story about the great Jerusalemite righteous tzaddik Reb Aryeh Levine. Aryeh Levine was a very special man. He was the rabbi of the prisoners, those Jewish young men of the Irgun, of the Etzel, and they were imprisoned by the English government in Israel. So he was the rabbi, used to go visit them, make kiddush for them Friday night, and bring them food. And he wasn't hired to do it. He did it because of his love and care for this young man and woman. So they called him the Rebbe of the prisoners. He was a very special man. He's a man that the Rebbe writes about him, Oev Yisrael, a lover of Jews. And in and he was known that he had a very good relationship with his wife. They say the famous thing that when he came to the doctor once, and he asked the doctor, one of Chumash maybe? Teitzei. And he asked the doctor, it's on page 1049, we're going to start. And he asked the doctor, tell me, he came to the doctor because his wife was in pain, and he told the doctor that our food is hurting my wife.
Her food is hurting
Our
us.
food,
Our food.
הרגל
food is
שלנו,
hurting
is
us.
hurting my wife. Meaning it's our food, but she's the one who's in pain, but it's ours. So anyway, the story is that once he was asked, so what's the secret of your marriage? How come that you have such a close relationship with your wife? It was not. So Rabbi Aryeh Levine said like this, when I got married in Yerushalayim, it was that time, I guess in the 1920s, or and there was hunger. There was no food, there was no money, there was no, people didn't have much. And you know that usually the Chatan, following the chuppah, he walks into the Cheder Yichud, the room which they are secluded for a few minutes, and it's customary that the Chatan gives a gift to the bride. For example, in Lubavitch, we don't give an engagement ring. And during the chuppah, for marriage, you only use a simple band. So later in the yichud room, many of us give their wife the nicer ring, the diamond ring, and you give it to her there. That's the gift that the chassan gives the kala. So the Arya says, I walked into the yichud room, and I turned to my bride and I said, listen, Rabbi, I'm sorry, I have no money. I have nothing I can give you. But it's customary to give you a gift. Let me make a deal with you. This is going to be my gift. That in every argument we're going to have, I'm telling you now, I'm going to be mevater. I'm going to give up for you're going to have the final decision in our arguments. That was his gift. It wasn't a ring, it wasn't a piece of jewelry, but it was a commitment to show and to express his respect, his kavod, his honor to his wife, and she was very happy with that. So the Rebbe continues the letter and he says like this: Im bekol et ifligu chazal b'malat hashlom bayit. Even though our sages always, at every given time, emphasize the importance of keeping shlom bayit, peace in the house. And this is what I found very interesting. Alachat kama vekama. Ve'omdeinu be'erev Shabbat Kodesh. How much more so? It is required on Fridays. As you know, Shabbos always comes in too early. It doesn't matter if sun sets at 4:14, like in the winter, or 9:14, like in the summer. Shabbos is always going to come in before its time. And in every Jewish home, the custom is that before Shabbos starts, this is ready, this is not ready, it's my fault, it's your fault, you were supposed to buy it, you were supposed to arrange it. It's a Jewish custom. The Gemara actually says, the Talmud says, that every husband, every man before going to shul should ask 3 questions. Isartem, iraftem, idliku saner. In Israel, you have to take off maaser from the fruit before you eat. You have to take off a tent. So you have to ask, was the fruit prepared edible for Shabbat? Was the proper procedure of maaser taking place? Question number 2, was there an eruv? If you have to carry the food from you used to have one home at a fire, and these everyone kept in the oven their cholents, and then next morning you had to bring it into your house. I even remember at my grandmother's house. We used to go over to a neighbor, we had the oven, before Shabbos plus the cholent padim, there were like 10, 15 cholent pots, with a name on every, and then you came after davening, everybody picked up his little tapala, his little shis, his little pot, taking it home. And in order to carry from the neighbor to your own house, you need to have an eruv. At least the minimal eruv, called the courtyard eruv. So the question number 2 is, did you take the eruv? And finally, make sure to light candles before sunset. Fine. This is in the Gemara. Says the Gemara, and when you say it, make sure to say it calmly. Benichuta. It's Erev Shabbos, don't get all aggravated. Hey, make sure you put it. Say it calmly. We all know it's Erev Shabbos, and the Erev Shabbos is a time of nervin, that the house is a little intense, so make sure that you are careful. So the Rebbe says, Erev Shabbat, we have to be careful on Shlom Bayit. Arei anu ata kulanu be'erev Shabbat kodesh lachar chatzot, shekarev ketz gulateinu ubiat Mashiach tetkenu. In the greater time frame, we are now, there are 6,000 years for the world, so-called, to come to the Messianic era. So we are now 5, 7, 7, 8. which means 1,000 years goes for a day. So the first 1,000 years of creation was Sunday, the second 1,000 years was Monday, and now we are what? 5, 7, 7, 8. So in the time frame of a week, where are we standing now from the creation all the way to the ultimate times? We have, not just the Erev Shabbat, we have Friday afternoon. This is about 3 o'clock on Friday, just about to kick off the Shabbos. So then how much more so we have to emphasize the Shalom Bayit. And here it says 7 words, which I was surprised to me when I saw it the first time. The Rebbe writes it to this man. And the Rebbe says, standing on Friday, Erev Shabbat Achar Chatzot, Shekarev Ketz Gulateinu, the exile is about to come to an end, Ubiat Mashiach Tzidkenu, Mashiach is about to arrive, Muvan שהאלם והאסתר ביותר הוא בנוגע לשלום בית. The biggest challenge that we are dealing in our personal lives, where does the Satan put all his emphasis to try to bring some trouble, is in the area of Shalom Bait. Especially this exile which came due to the lack of peace. So kol kama shenitkarev ketz galut, as long that the end of exile is about to arrive, he knows, the powers of evil know, they are about to disappear. What did they do, says the Rebbe? ההתאפקות, the fight, מהצד שכנגד, ובעיקר שלא להניח שלום בעולם כולו. They don't want peace. There is the big thing that they don't want peace in the world. You know, we all know the challenge of peace. In our personal life, the big issue becomes what? Shalom Bayit. This is what the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, puts his big emphasis and is putting his both hands and says, no. If I would see peace in the house, it means that they are doing great and my end is near. And there is the challenge which the Rebbe writes. You have to work, he writes it to the men. Obviously, it has to be from both sides. You know, both have to work on it. So he says, this is the deal today. This is the deal today. And this is the Yetzer Hara. This is the evil inclination. So we all are looking, so what's the tip? How the secret? How can we actually get to Shalom Bayit? We all know that it's not easy to have peace in the house. You know, they say a joke. One of the many jokes, they say that this couple was celebrating their 50th anniversary. It's called the Golden Anniversary. And there's a party, and there's children and grandchildren and friends, and the wife sees that the husband is crying. She goes over to him and says, "Why are you crying?" He said, "You know, I'm remembering now, we were dating, and your father finally had it with me. I wasn't proposing. Your father came to me and he says, listen, if you are not marrying my daughter, I will kill you. Kill you. No. And I was thinking, you're going to kill me? I will kill you before you kill me. And imagine if I would keep to it, today would have been the day I'm released from jail. After 50 years. That would have been my day. I would have gone to jail for 50 years, and that's it. Verstehst? Arnold, how do you say the joke better? It's not a joke. Look at a very interesting verse in this week's Parsha. Open up chapter 24, verse 5. Like I said, all the laws of marriage and divorce are in this week's Parsha. Comes Perek Chavdalet, Pasuk Hey, Shishi. You have it on page 1058.
Rabbi?
Yeah.
Oblige.
Oblige.
Oblige. It is a positive way of bowing to the
How do
other
you
side.
spell it?
Oblige.
Or there's
Oblige.
also wave.
Oblige.
Oblige
Okay.
is a positive way of.
Good, very nice. Well, now let's look verse 5. In this verse, Rabbi say,
Next time you use this word, nobody understands.
you're going to find the secret of marriage. You ready? Who wants the secret for successful marriage?
Which verse?
Verse 5, which is on page
I'm
1058.
going to show it to my husband. Let's start.
Ki yikach ish isha chadasha. When a man marries a new wife, lo Teitzei batzava. He should not go out to the army. Velo ya'avor alav lechol davar. Nor shall shall obligate him for any matter. Any matter, as Rashi explains, means any matter which is community related. Even not fighting at war. Simply to provide water and food and fixing the roads. The first year, you are exempt, not only exempt, you are actually forbidden to be involved in any of these consequences, any of these situations. Baruch Hashem. Yes?
Activities.
You're exempt of any of these activities. Fine. You're exempt of any of these activities. You can't go to work. It is known, they call it in the Yiddish language, they call it Shana Rishayna. You ever heard the term Shana Rishayna? Shana Rishayna means the first year of marriage. You don't go anywhere. So what are you going to do? What should you do? The negative commandment is what you should not do.
Make your wife happy.
Oh, no. That's what's going to come now, the tricky way of learning that next three words. And this is the secret of marriage. Says the verse, V'simach et ishto asher lakach. In English, it's being translated. He should be free of his home for 1 year. V'simach et ishto, and he shall gladden his wife whom he has married.
So make your wife
The
happy.
word in Hebrew is V'simach et ishto. I need you to learn Rashi. If you don't need Rashi, you're going to have to trust me what Rashi says. This is the only time that Rashi brings another commentary, and he says that the other commentary is mistake. Never heard such a thing, mistake. Rashi always brings second opinions. He brings the Medrash says this, and I say this. The simple meaning would mean that, and the Sifri says that. In here, Rashi brings that great explanation by Rabbi Yonatan ben Uziel, the Targum Yonatan. Just like there's an Unkelus translation, there is a second translation in Aramaic by a Talmudic sage, which was historically one of the greatest Talmudic sages. His name was Rabbi Yonatan ben Uziel. And Rashi brings the way he translates the word V'simach et ishto, and Rashi screams, so to speak. He says, no, it's wrong. What does he say? Those who can read Rashi, join me. V'simach, I'm only going to read it in Rashi's words. And Rashi, V'simach, Yesamach et ishto. He should make his wife happy. Targumo, and the translation is Ve'yachadi yot itesei. He should make his wife happy.
That's what I say.
Ve'ametargem ve'yachdi im itesei. And the one that translates that means you should be happy with your wife, which is Targum Yonatan ben Uziel. Ein to'eu. You are making a mistake. It's not about you being happy with your wife. It's about your wife being happy. This is V'simach Esishto. שאין זה תרגום של ושימח, אלא של ושמח. If the Torah would have want you to be happy with your wife, the Torah would have said v'samach. The fact that it says v'simach et ishto means v'simach, make her happy. simcha, joy, a union of marriage. There's a husband and wife, and you're trying to bring happiness to the home. Says the Torah, this is the code. You want to break the code? This is the code. Are you looking to make yourself happy? Or are you interested in making your Rebbetzin happy? Are you making yourself happy? Or are you want to make sure that your husband is happy? Everyone thinks about the other person's happiness. This is called vitur, oblige, giving up your own desire of being happy. You love your wife and you love your husband because you love them, not yourself. This is simcha. And this is what the Torah says, Vesimach es ishtoi. If you look at this mitzvah, this is, by the way, a mitzvah. The times when Jews used to go to war, that mitzvah has to be observed. One of the 613 commandments and prohibitions is to make you be with your wife happy and not to go to war. And no, this is qualified in Rambam, qualified in the Chinuch. This is a practical halacha with very clear guidance of not to deviate from that mitzvah. If you look in the Chinuch, for example, the classic commentator on mitzvot, he explains what's the reason for this mitzvah. So he says very simple. He says you got to get used to it. If you're not going to get used to your wife or to your marriage, then you're still going to keep up with your old high school and college friends. So 1 year, you keep away from everybody. So that's what the Chinuch says. God wants you to devote yourself to your marriage. So the way to do it is, sorry, I'm not a shliach now. I'm not opening no Chabad houses. I'm not going to war. I'm not running no businesses. Now my job is to live on the minimal I can live, and at the same time, invest in getting to know each other and to getting accustomed to each other to a point that slowly, since I have to be with you the whole time, and Torah does not let me get on to war, which I'm going to be with my chevra, right, with the boys, so then eventually you're going to slowly but surely forget about everybody else and concentrate on your wife. But if you're going to leave college to get married, and at the same time, every few days you're going back to college because that's where you want to spend your time, very little chance that you give yourself to commit yourself to your wife. You have to create a foundation. This is the so-called the psychology of that mitzvah. If you ask anybody, what is the meaning of that mitzvah? I think psychologically, I would be able to convince you that this is surely to establish a proper foundation. And this is actually the way the Chinuch looks at it. But the foundation is not only to ensure that you are to her and she is to you, but it has to come in a way of that you are spending your time to make her happy. Vesimach et ishto, says Rashi, yesameach et ishto, and not with your wife. Sometimes this is not what I want to do. This is not what I'm interested. This is not my curiosity. She wants to watch a movie. I want to read a book. I want to watch a movie. She wants to read a book. She wants to read a book. You're going to go read that book and talk to her about that book. That's Vasimach Hasishtoi. That's what's interesting. This is clearly the Torah's perspective on how marriage can work. Then I learned something very special. We all know the story of Yaakov wanting to marry Rachel. Right? Remember the story. He wants to marry Rachel, and Lavan, Aksamarain, is the second sister Leah, and Yaakov has now to work 7 more years, right, in order to get married to Rachel. There is a pasuk there which never made sense to me. Till today. Imagine, you're waiting for your wife, for your husband to come. I'm not talking now, I'm talking about dating, but you're still, interested in her, right? In the early years, in the early stages. You're standing in the airport, waiting for you to come with the flowers and the balloons and everything else, right? And then you hear the announcement that the flight is delayed.
Never come.
Huh?
Never come.
No, delayed. Never comes, so never come. You go home, it's over. You're gonna mourn, but delayed. How delayed? 7 days, 7 weeks, 7 months, maybe 7 years. And you're still waiting. Even let's say 7 hours. Waiting for someone 7 hours that you really, 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 really want to come. How long are those 7 hours? Is it just 7 hours, or every minute is like an hour, and every hour is like a year, and every right? Now take a look what the Torah says about Yaakov waiting for Rachel, and tell me how does that make sense to you? Go back. You have the Chumash. Go back to Bereshis, chapter 29, verse 2.
Which page?
You want to have the page 2? That's on page
147.
140, chapter 29, verse 20. Go a second to page 150. 150. Let's start verse 18. Let's read 3 psukim and tell me how do you explain those psukim. Okay, page 150. Vayeav Yaakov es Rachel. Yaakov loved Rachel. Vayomer, and he said to Lavan, Evodcha sheva shanim, I will work for you 7 years. Berachel bitcha aktana. For Rachel, your younger daughter. Vayomer Lavan, this liar, this mamzer, what does he say? Sure. Toif titi oisoloch mit titi oisoli shacher shvoi modi. I will work, and it's better that I give her to you than that I give her to another man. Remain with me. Ready? A deal is a deal. Says verse 20. Vayavoid Yaakov berochel sheva shonim. Yaakov worked 7 years for Rachel. Va'iyu be'einav keyomim achodim. And they seemed to him a few days. 7 years seemed only a few days. Why? Be'ahavosoi hoiso. Because of his love for her. You love Rachel and you want to marry her. So if you tell me that 7 days felt like 7 years, verstehe ich, I understand. If Lavan would say, listen, you want to get Rachel? I will give it to you better than anybody else, but you have to work 7 days for me. And the Torah would say that Yaakov worked, and those 7 days felt like 7 years because of his love to Rachel. That would be a perfectly written verse. Nachon? What does the Torah say? He worked 7 years, and the 7 years flew by like garnish. Why? Because he loved her. If you love her, 7 years flies by like a 7 days. If you love somebody, you're eagerly waiting to get to this wedding, 7 years becomes 7 days. Fakir. 7 years is 7,000 years. Please, make sense to me with this verse. What does it mean?
7 years is nothing against the rest of the life.
Oh, come on. Don't give me a cheap explanation. How does 7 years become 7 days? And especially as the Torah says, Be'avosa yoisa. Because of his love to hear, that's why it flew by. Yes, I can also say that, if he would have asked you 700 years and he only asked 7 years. But this doesn't make any sense rationally. Says the Ramban, Nachmanides said a gewaltige Wort. You know what he says? Listen to what the Ramban says. The Ramban says that Yaakov was not just happy to work in order to get Rachel. The Ramban says Rachel was a shepherd for your father Lavan. This behemoth, this Lavan, he wasn't only working Yaakov to the bone. He was working his own daughters. And Yaakov came to Lavan's house, and what does he see? This beautiful girl, Rachel, is coming home after a day of hard working job with the sheep, with the field. The job that Yaakov did. Yaakov said, I worked here 7 years and I couldn't sleep. The sun didn't stop me and the frost of the winter didn't interrupt me. That same work was actually a job that Rachel was doing. Says the Ramban that now Ben Yaakov saw that his father-in-law to be offers him to take the job. He jumped on it. Now I can tell Rachel, don't have to work. I'm going to do the job for you. I'm going to work it. And his love to Rachel was so strong that his 7 years of this hard work seemed just like a few days. Because he didn't feel like a burden. He felt happy, satisfied, excited to help this young girl from being involved in back-breaking work. A Geschmack Ramban. Yes or no? This is Kiyom Machadim. If it would be to wait and to work hard yourself, waiting for your shidduch, then 7 days and 7 years would have been 7,000 years. But knowing that while you work, I'm taking my kalas, my future wife's hard work off your plate, I am becoming the one who's doing the job. That's what love is. So every day he woke up, he wasn't counting the days. He was there, excitingly working and assisting the one he loved. That's the words of the Ramban. He saw that Rachel was a shepherd. He had mercy on her. That she should not return to be a shepherd. So he became the shepherd because of his love to hear. And that was the extra effort he put in. And that was not a task of years in a peckle. Every day, every night, he was involved in a mission which energized him. As more I'm here, as less my wife has to work, the one I love. Verstehst? I remember my grandmother, my Baba Liba, she had a job. Her job was to sew, those yellow wearing kaftanas that they wore in Jerusalem, those yellow Shabbos coats that many of the Jerusalem had worked. She was sewing it in her house. And the big hoo-ha of the business was before Pesach. Many people made for themselves a new coat for Pesach. And before Pesach, she had to finish a lot of them, and it was crazy. And obviously, my mother and her sisters, they all, in addition to prepare their own house for Pesach, had to go help their mom. But I never, ever remember, my mom needs me again. It was the best, most exciting time in the week that she was able to go help her mother in finishing sewing those coats. If is a burden for somebody else, it's because you don't really care for the other person. You care for yourself. And when you care for yourself, now that I have to do it for somebody else, it's schwer, it's hard. But when Yaakov was not caring for himself, but rather he was looking to do it for somebody else, so be'avosa yoiso, Amachaya, give me another job. Let me do it. How many of us as Hasidim would, I don't want to use the word die, but you know what I mean, would give everything the Rebbe should ask us to do for him something. Would the Rebbe ask me to go for him to the grocery? Would the Rebbe ask me to make him a coffee? How many times we used to run when we saw the Rebbe's car coming on Eastern Parkway, run to try to be the one to open the front door and all that, so when the Rebbe comes in, he can walk up straight 770. And it was the biggest pleasure. We didn't even expect, thank you, actually we used to hide ourselves behind the door, the Rebbe shouldn't see us. But we kept the door open. It was like, oh, the minimal of the minimal of the minimal that I can do. If he would ask me to stand here all day, I will be so happy. Why? Because you love him. And when you love someone, then you want to do it for him. Says the Torah, that's what happened to Yaakov. And that's why Yaakov is remembered as a perfect husband to his wife Rachel. ואני בבואי מפדון, ביסול רחל, בדרך, בואי כברת ארץ, ליבו יפרוסו. And at the same time, that's what the Torah tells us in this week's Parsha. V'simach et ishtoi. It's not about myself. It's about what he or she wants. Something interesting happens in this Parsha. You wanted to ask something?
No, but I would mention, so why in Torah we said men are obligated to provide the woman because of this reason?
It's a big part of it. That's why I always say by every chasana, that anybody who studies the Jewish contract of marriage called the Ketubah, he would learn what Shalom Bayis means and what does it mean, respect to your wife.
But it's not only for the first year like it's written in the...
Exactly. But the first year is to create a foundation. And that tells us how we're going to continue living our life afterwards. But then comes something interesting in this Parsha. The same Parsha which introduces to us such a significant idea about marriage introduces us an option to break the marriage. Wouldn't it be nice, I don't want to say the word nice, there are certain religions which once you're married, you're married. You know that? You can't divorce. Comes this week's Parsha and says, okay, this is ideal. But at the same time, I want to give you an option. We turn to page 1058, chapter 24, and the Torah says, okay, what happens if you marry a woman and he lives with her, and it will be that she will not find favor in his eyes, for he found in him a matter of immorality. There is a concept called get. The kosav lo sefer krisus. Very important laws. She gets divorced. And once she gets divorced, if she gets married to somebody else, he can never marry her again. The get. It's an old book called Sefer Krisus. Why would you give the option? Make it work. Why is the Torah giving an option? You're married, you're stuck. And that's it. I don't like here, I'm going to get someone else. Ma pitom. Why? You don't like you, make it like you. Make yourself to like you. Make yourself to like him. What's this thing? Why is it becoming an option? Here too, you can look at superficially, and you can look a little deeper and inside, you will realize that it's all about making your marriage happy. Why? Think about it. Let's think about it for a moment. Imagine there is no option of getting divorced. Okay? Can't get divorced. You're married, you're stuck. For life, forever. And then, it's not for you. It doesn't work out. If it doesn't work out, why am I going to put any effort to it? I can't go anywhere. I'm stuck with you, right? I'm stuck with that. In that case, no. I'm going to shut myself down and let the marriage to be as sour as it is, and it's over. Torah says, Allah, better try to make it work, because you know what? If you're not going to make it work, somebody else is going to make it work. Somebody else is going to make it work. And therefore, the freedom that he or she has to leave that marriage will strengthen your effort in making it work. I see you looking at me like I'm a sugar nut. Let me say it again. Okay? Don't lose it. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
No. If you don't smile, you don't understand. Let me read you the words. Imagine, let me give you the example which this book, Ishu Beisa, is using. Imagine you are given imprisonment. You have to sit in jail. Not in jail, but at home. It's called jail. What do you call
House
House arrest.
house arrest? Imagine you are at a house arrest. And house arrest says for the next 3 days you can't leave your house. How do you feel after 5 hours? I gotta get out of here. I can't, but I gotta get out of here. Let me ask you. Last week, weren't you at home 3 days? You were at home for 3 days in a row, watching television, whatever you did, and nothing bothered you. The moment it became a house arrest, suddenly every minute is like a peckle. Okay, I'm here. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Take off the arrest, you can sit home and be happy, right? When is that sitting home a burden? When you are told to do it. If there wouldn't have been a concept of divorce, then marriage would have become a burden. I have to, I'm stuck in it. And something that you are stuck with, you're not inspired, you're not encouraged to look ways of making it exciting. You're upset for the very fact that you're stuck. Here, Torah says you're not stuck. You essentially have the freedom to say goodbye to your wife. So now, when you choose to make it work, you do it because you want to make it work. You do it because it's something that I'm interested in and I'm happy for. That's what divorce helps us in being healthy married. The fact that we can be separated and we choose not to is a further encouragement to strengthen our shalom bayit. Why are you here? Because you want to make it work. Go. You know, sometimes we tell our kids, go, okay, gesundheit. What happens then? They don't leave. Suddenly, no, they're not going anywhere. Go! No, not going. If you tell them you can't go, okay, now I'm going to try to get out of it. Because I'm binded. Nobody wants to feel chained. Get is yet another remedy. Get in the ability and the potential to be separated is yet another tool to strengthen a healthy marriage. I am here in this marriage because I want to be in that marriage. I was not forced to stay here. I want to be here. You're not forced. You can get divorced. The law says you could. It's an option. It's a bitter option, but it's an option. Let's go back to marriage. King Solomon wrote 2 verses, one in the book of Proverbs and one in the books of Kohelet. 2 contradictory verses that all the commentaries are trying to figure out, what did he do? Now, if you're talking about an expert of marriage, no one like King Solomon. He had the experience. According to the Medrash, he had 1,000 wives, right? And among those wives, it wasn't only Jewish-born women. He had all types of converts from different countries. He had every color, every shape. He had, you want to talk about life, at the Shlomo HaMelech. In Mishlei, what does it say? Matzah isha, matzah tov. You found a wife, you found yourself good. Tov, goodness. Everybody's looking to have good. The goodness of life is when you have your wife. No? Can't be a better expression for a loving couple relationship of husband and wife to say, Matzah isha matzah tov. Right? The best words expressing how healthy and wonderful our marriage is. You read the next book. You come to Kohelet, written by King Solomon. What do you call it in English? Ecclesiastes, whatever. Kohelet. This is what it says. Motze ani mar mimavet et aisha. I found the wife to be for me bitter than death. Morer? Hello. Shlomo, what happened to you? Yeah, so some are going to say, when he was young, he wrote this. When he started paying the bills, then he... I mean, there's all kinds of explanations. But this is 2 verses. To the point that the Talmud says in Brachot that in Israel, the Talmud was written in Babel, that in Israel, when somebody got engaged, got married, the good friend used to come and whisper in his ear, Matzah or Motzah? Is that a wife which we can apply the verse Matzah isha matzah tov? Or is that a wife which we can apply the verse Motze ani mar mimavet, I found the woman to be more bitter than death? And then you wonder, what do you mean? You tell a groom on the night of his wedding, is his wife matzah or motzah? Every groom on the night of the wedding at least thinks that this is, this is it. And why would you even go over to a chatan and tell him that, there's an action that is more bitter than death? And a chasna made the obligation to be joyful with the chatan and the kala and to celebrate. What is going on here? I once heard an insight, but this is going back to the same which we spoke before, but it's unbelievable. The first verse says, Matzah isha. What does the verse say? You found a wife, Matzah tov. If you were looking to marry a wife and you found a wife because you found a wife to marry and your interest is the wife, then you are good. What's the second verse? Motze ani et haisha ma mimavet. I found a woman for me. That's more bitter than that. Because that marriage is not for the marriage. It's for myself. It's for selfish reasons and ideas. Then says Shlomo Melech, wow, you don't even know what's waiting for you. You are here for a ride. I'm not. You think that is bitter? Every day you would say, Rebbeinu Shloilem. You know. That's the difference. It's not that there's a different how we look at marriage. It's a woman. We are looking on what you're looking for. Are you looking to get married? Or are you looking to have selfish satisfactions and gratification?
Well, that's the thing. With King Solomon, he had so many wives. Some were for good reason, and some were for bad reason.
I don't know. I never spoke to him personally. I don't know what was his reasoning. As far as I'm concerned, they were all for good reasons. I don't know.
It's very
I'm not sure what happened there, but I can tell you one thing.
What, his quotations are going on.
I remember one. No, I would have Velvel. You all know about a Velvel, right?
Yeah.
He has a very realistic look at life. So once I spoke to him about a shidduch for somebody that I know and he knows. And I said, no, that was my other brother too. I said, Dudi, why aren't you helping this and this guy to find a shidduch to get married? And he tells me, what are you talking about? He needs to get divorced first. He can't just get married like this. I said, what are you talking about? He said, yeah, before you get married, you can't get married to anybody before he gets divorced. I said, I'm talking about Zalman. I mean, he said, yes, I know what we're talking about. He has to first get divorced from himself. And then he can go find a wife. He has to give himself a get first. He's not interested in getting married. He's still married to himself. And sometimes this is the situation. And this is what the Torah tells us, what we began reading today. V'simach es ishtoi. With it. What about you? And like I said before, marriage and divorce is in our relationship with Hashem, same idea. You want to do this, you want to do that. People have all kinds of ideas they want to do in religion, expressing their religion. You always have to ask yourself, either to make myself happy or to make God happy. If it's to make yourself happy, then you're not married to God. You're married to yourself. If you're interested in making Hashem happy, so look into his book and ask him, God, what can I do for you? Tell me what I need to do. Follow his guidance. Follow his instructions. Let him inspire you. And that's what keeps a successful marriage in us and God. Everybody who tried to satisfy themselves in a so-called relationship with God it wasn't holding much. For sure they couldn't have translated to their kids and to their grandkids, because it was for them. It wasn't for God. Should all marry to the ultimate wedding of Am Yisrael, Od Yishama Be'arei Yehuda u'Bechutzot Yerushalayim, Kol Sosen ve'Kol Simcha, Kol Chosen ve'Kol Kalo, by the coming of Mashiach to gain us speedily in our days. Amen. Amen. Laila Tov.